At 23:15 Moscow time on March 12, 2026, the large anti-submarine frigate Admiral Makarov, Project 11356R, pennant 751, was making 14 knots to the northwestern Black Sea, 38 nautical miles southwest of Sevastopol. It was one of the most modern ships of the Black Sea Fleet, 4,035 tons full displacement, 124.8 meters long, 15 meters wide. On board, 8 Caliber K launchers, a Still, 1 air defense system, 2 Ka 27M helicopters, 2 AK 176 MA 76mm gun mounts, 6 AK 630M 30mm automatic cannons, and 2 torpedo tubes. Crew, 220. The frigate M2M radar was running a full scan. Paris thermal imagers were sweeping the sea surface out of 12 miles, and the Tornado EW suite was jamming possible signals. The night was perfectly dark. The moon was hidden behind clouds. The sea a black mirror. Only faint reflections from the ship's navigation lights and rare lighthouse flashes on the horizon. On the bridge, Captain First Rank Sergei Kovalyov stood in near-total darkness under red instrument lighting. In the CIC, operators were calmly finishing coffee on third watch. All clear. No civilian traffic. Ukrainian radars are quiet, reported Senior Lieutenant Dmitry Orlov. After recent fleet losses, tension was constant, but tonight felt calm. The frigate was in routine patrol mode after yesterday's exercises. No one expected that in 9 minutes the night would turn into a classic small versus big nerve game. On the Ukrainian side, at the HU Armad Maritime Operations Center in Odessa, Colonel Andriy Romov issued the order at 23:06. Launched the Magura Group. 6 V-5 drones, 2025 modernization. Mission: close to an extreme minimum distance at night. Do not attack. Film: show the Russians that even their 4,000-ton frigate can be touched in full darkness. Tighten the nerves. Let them feel what it's like when small targets skim the water right under your bow. 6 Ukrainian Magura V-5C drones, about 1.2 tons each. Speed up to 42 knots. Composite hull with minimal radar signature. Reduced thermal profile, night cameras, and Starlink satellite comms. Launched from a mobile platform off the Odessa region coast at 23:08. They rode 30 to 40 centimeters above the surface, nearly blending into the water. Motors: quiet electric drives. Speed: 38 knots. Course 082, converging on the frigate from multiple sectors. 2 pairs from the south, 2 from the west, 2 from the northeast, classic nighttime pincers. At 23:17, Admiral Makarov's frigate M2M radar picked up the first odd returns. Radar operator Warrant Officer Alexei Varnin reported, mildly surprised. Low surface targets. Very small, less than a meter above the water. Speed 37 knots. Range 14 miles, bearing 197. 6 returns. At first, I thought it was wave clutter or debris, but they're moving too steadily. In the CIC, silence fell instantly. Captain Kovalyov turned toward the display. Classify. Paris thermal imager on target. Those aren't fishermen. Those aren't civilian. 23 seconds later, the thermal imager confirmed. 6 small heat flecks hugging the surface. The signature matched Ukrainian Magura V-5C drones. Low profile. Minimal heat from batteries and electric motors. Thermal operator Seaman Ivan Sokolov exhaled. They're moving in formation, not maneuvering. Straight at us. It's them. The setup turned into escalation within minutes. 23:19. Targets were already inside 11 miles. The Tornado EW suite attempted to jam possible control links, but the drones were running autonomously with Starlink corrections. On the bridge, the watch officer, Lieutenant Maxim Ryabov, raised night vision binoculars and froze. I can see faint wakes. 6 thin white streaks. They're moving like shadows, too fast to be waves. The CIC declared Combat Alert Level 2. All AK, 630M mounts slewed onto their sectors. 2 30mm guns on the starboard side covered the approach. The upper AK, 176 MA 76mm gun, was brought to readiness, but the order from Sevastopol was strict. ROE, fire only inside 800 meters and only on a clear ramming course. Do not fire yet. The world watches every shot we take at night. Captain Kovalyov clenched his fists. They know we see them. They're coming too confidently. This is an attack. It's a test. 23:22. The radar picture sharpened. The 6 contacts split into 2 groups of 3. Speed remained steady at 38 knots. Thermal imagery showed clearer silhouettes, flat low, with a small antenna mast. One group was coming straight down the frigate's bow line. The second ran along the starboard side. Range 7.4 miles. A Ka-27M was ordered to launch, but the pilot warned, "In darkness at low altitude, I may not pick them up in time." Tension in CIC rose with every second. The AK-630 operator, Senior Lieutenant Pavel Morozov, held his finger near the fire switch. Targets inside effective range. If they close inside 2 miles, I'm ready to shred them. The captain answered in an icy tone. Wait! One burst from us at night, and tomorrow the whole world will see a Russian frigate shooting small boats. That's exactly what they want, to make us fire first. 23:25. The drones were down to 4.1 miles. Now they were visible through night vision from the bridge. 6 pale wakes cutting black water. They began a zigzag pattern. Classic low-profile evasive movement. One drone, number 3, surged to 41 knots and drove straight toward the frigate's bow. The distance was collapsing dangerously fast. In Odessa, Colonel Romov watched the live feeds. Film everything. Let the Russians feel it. Their big ship, their radars, their calibers, and 6 of our drones at $400,000 each are already on their hull. On Admiral Makarov, tension hit its peak. 23:27. The first trio closed to 1.8 miles. The wakes were visible even without optics now. The faint whir of electric motors started to bleed through the wind. Sailors on the upper deck froze at the rails. Someone whispered, "God, they're right under us." 23 hours, 28 minutes, and 40 seconds. The second trio came in from starboard. Range dropped to 920 meters. Now they ran parallel to the frigate's course, mirroring every movement. One drone, number 4, suddenly slowed and held at 620 meters off the hull. So close the ship's bow wave nudged its small body. The drone's camera fed a clear picture. Portholes, antennas, the St. Andrew's flag at the gaff. Peak moment. 23 hours, 29 minutes, and 12 seconds. All 6 Ukrainian sea drones were simultaneously at dangerous proximity. The boldest, drone number 2, passed within 280 meters of Admiral Makarov's starboard side, riding only 35 centimeters above the surface. Its wake sprayed hard enough that droplets reached the deck. In the darkness, the crew heard the high hiss of cut water and the faint buzz of electric motors. Another drone, number 5, curved around the stern at 340 meters. A third crossed the bow line at 410 meters. They did not strike. They were simply demonstrating. We're here. We can. Inside the CIC, silence was absolute. Only the breathing of 18 operators and the clatter of keys. Captain Kovalyov stood pale. 280 meters? We can do nothing but watch. One order and we open fire on small targets at night. Tomorrow that becomes our information victory. One of the drones flashed a bright red strobe for 4 seconds, like a wink. Cameras captured every detail of the frigate. The guns had stayed silent. The sailors at the rails who could only stand and stare. At HUR HQ, Colonel Romov said quietly, "Objective complete. Break off. Let them remember this night." 23:31. The drones turned away together and ran southwest. Speed back to 40 knots. They left as confidently as they arrived. 6 thin white wakes dissolving into black water in 47 seconds. The frigate M2M radar returned to a clean horizon. Tension didn't fall immediately. The crew stayed at full readiness for another 12 minutes. Someone wiped sweat off his forehead. A young sailor on the upper deck said softly to a shipmate, "I thought it was the end. They were so close I could see the wakes right at the side. In Sevastopol, Fleet Headquarters received a report. 6 Ukrainian Sea drones closed at 280 meters at night. No fire per orders. Crew nerves at the limit. The entire incident lasted 16 minutes, 47 seconds. Ukraine lost nothing. Russia, another sleepless night, and another strike against the myth of an untouchable big fleet. The narrator closes the video with a low, calm, ironic voice over the hiss of wakes and tense orchestral music fading out. Today the Russians learned that in the Black Sea, even the biggest frigate worth billions of rubles can flinch at 6 small Ukrainian drones. They came to 280 meters, filmed every antenna, every barrel, every face in the night, winked with a red light, and went home to drink coffee. And 220 people on board simply stood and watched. We simply reminded you, this is our sea, these are our rules, and your radars, your stills, and your calibers against our small drones at night are just a very expensive show in which today the leading role was ours.